Hi Virgo, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your June 2023 tarot reading. Thanks to those of you who like, viewed, shared, and subscribed to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you new to the channel, as far as what we have in front of us, it's a Celtic cross spread as always, and also pulled the 4 agreements, wisdom, the oracle, and Mudra card for you guys. We're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those astrology dice we have in front of us to get an idea of where your focus should be as far as that goes. Alright. So we have Taurus, and Taurus is actually your 9th house, which points to philosophy, higher learning, foreign affairs. And of course, at the time I'm recording this, we pretty much just wrapped up Taurus season. We just had that Taurus new moon. We have Uranus still there as well. We had a Mercury retrograde there that wrapped up recently. And that actually, the post-shadow period from that will be clear right when we start June. And what else? And of course, the North Node has been in there for some time as well. Alright, we have 2, so second house energy for you guys is Libra, and second house in general points to possession, self-worth, and finances. Nothing really going on there, astrologically speaking. And we have Mercury. So yeah, like I said, we just wrapped up the Mercury retrograde. The post-shadow period will be done by the time June officially starts. And Mercury will move from Taurus into Gemini, I think around middle of the second week of June. And of course, that would mean it moves from your 9th house to your 10th house. Alright, so with all that away, we'll get started with the main spread. In the main situation position, we have the 2 of Wands. And challenging that, we have the 7 of Cups. So speaking of the Taurus energy, we also had a Jupiter arrive into Taurus recently. And given that that's 9th house energy for you guys, maybe it's as simple as you want to travel, right? You might decide, oh, I want to travel somewhere to a new culture, right? A new destination, but maybe just being undecided on where to, right? So that could be what's at play. You might have so many places you want to see in mind, so that could be what's holding you back from actually doing the thing, because you're like, okay, let me really figure out which one of these I want to do, right? Especially if you feel like you have some limitations on as to how many places you can go. But that could be how it's playing out for some of you, and if it's not directly related to travel, things along those lines, could at the very least be saying that you have a desire to start something new, but I feel like the desire for something new is stronger than the desire for any one specific thing, right? So there could be a bit of a struggle there as well. Like, okay, I know I want to do something new, I want to experience something new, not quite sure what exactly. Alright, in the foundation position, we have the moon. So yeah, this could be another indicator, right, that maybe the picture's not quite so clear for you guys. So like I said, we did just have that new moon in Taurus. But aside from that, there's going to be a full moon in Sagittarius, which is your 4th house, and then there'll be a new moon in Gemini later on in June. So there could be some significance around those lunar cycles for you guys, but if not that in particular, it could just be saying that, like I said, maybe you're not quite seeing things clearly. And that could be as simple as having that retrograde dust still settling as we're in the post-retrograde period. Alright, in the past position, we have the Ace of Wands. So yeah, I feel like this is a desire in you that started recently, right? So we see 1 wand here. In the current position, we see 2 of wands. So I feel like the desire in you is growing for something new. But again, it's just a matter of deciding on exactly what. Alright, in the present position, we have the Devil. So for some of you, maybe it's a desire to break free from your current environment, right? If you feel like it's really holding you back in some way, you feel chained to your current circumstances, there could just be that desire to pull away. So that's why you might not have a specific destination in mind, but it's just more of, okay, I know that where I'm at right now isn't necessarily working, right? Some of you could just be as simple as, in a more mundane sense, maybe you have a lot of energy going toward your careers right now, and you're like, okay, I really need a break from that, right? So it doesn't have to be a major thing in that regard, but yeah, that's what I see with that. Alright, in the near future position, we have the Knight of Swords. So this is Gemini energy here, and of course for, well, we pretty much just started Gemini season. For the first few weeks of June, we're going to be in Gemini season as well. And like I mentioned, with your dice having Mercury in the mix, Mercury will be in Gemini as well with the new moon, so maybe you could just be saying that once all that Gemini energy arrives for you guys, that's actually going to give you the clarity and decisiveness to move forward around the situation and get that movement that you're seeking. All right, the position of your influence on the situation, we have the Knight of Wands. So more Sagittarius energy here. And yeah, I mean, to me, this definitely makes me think of travel, right? Foreign travel in particular, of course, unless you live in this area. But that's what I usually see when I see this card, the desire for movement and actually taking action on that. So yeah, this says to me between that and seeing the Knight of Swords in a near future position, it looks like the dust will clear for you guys and you will actually decide on a path and take action toward that this month. All right, in the environment position, we have the King of Cups. So for some of you, it could just be saying that it might have really taken you a long time to get there, or you might be a little bit tight-lipped around what your plans are. That could be how it's playing out for some of you. Or this could just be saying that maybe you feel like people in your environment aren't as open to this energy as you are, right? So if you want to take someone along with you, you might feel like they're tending to be a little bit more tethered to where they currently are, and like, yeah, okay, that vacation idea sounds cool, but I don't know if now's the right time, right? So it could just be one of those things where maybe if you were hoping to take the journey with someone else, you might have to do it on more of a solo tip. Or at least, the person or people you want to go on the journey with you might be a little bit more resistant to the idea. All right, in the Hope Sword for Yours position, we have the Eight of Swords. So yeah, I'm going to assume this is maybe a fear for the majority of you, right? Because like I said, it looks like for a while you might have been stuck in that energy of not necessarily knowing exactly which way to go. Maybe there's a little bit of fear around making the wrong decision, right? So like I said, just to bring it back to a generic example, given that we have Jupiter in your ninth house now, let's say there are these 5 foreign countries, or let's say 7 foreign countries you really wanted to check out, right? But maybe you could only afford to go to one of them right now, and you could just have this fear of, oh, what if I pick the wrong one, right? What if I go to this one and I end up not liking it, and then I'll second guess, should I pick the one of the other 6, right? So things along those lines there. And if that's the energy you're feeling, given that this actually represents the first 10 degrees of Gemini, it could just be saying that as we officially get into the early part of June, you might feel that energy clear up for you. All right, and in the outcome position, we have the Nine of Pentacles. So actually, interestingly enough, for some of you, this could actually say you might ultimately decide to just stick close to home. Doesn't necessarily mean you won't travel, right? But maybe instead of this big extravagant trip overseas or something along those lines, you might decide, well, you know what, let me just check out this area nearby that I've always wanted to visit, right? Or something along those lines. Or you might decide to put more energy on beautifying your current home environment, right? Something along those lines there. But either way, it looks like you do feel like you have the resources to make the trip. Maybe just going through that mental journey and, just thinking about those things and really figuring out what your path is going to be good enough to help you feel like you're cleared from that chained up cycle that you might have felt recently. Let me see what else comes to mind with this. Yeah, I mean, that's primarily what I'm seeing there. But either way, given that that is a Virgo energy, looks like you're going to be feeling pretty confident around your decision making as we get toward the end of the month. All right. And bottom of the deck, we do see the Two of Pentacles. So yeah, I mean, that goes along with what we were talking about there. I mean, to me, this is almost that combination of the Two of Wands with the Seven of Cups, right? Two of Wands is more decisive energy, whereas Seven of Cups isn't particularly decisive. So you mix those two together, that could just be where you guys have been stuck. And then speaking of which, we have the Nine of Swords too. So yeah, like I said, you could just be in a cycle currently anyway of overthinking the situation, but beneath that, we do see the Page of Cups, which is definitely more of an action-oriented energy. So yeah, like I said, it could just be one of those things as simple as having that post-retrograde and eclipse season energy clearing out. It's actually free up the energy for you and have you thinking more clearly around what your next step should be. All right, moving on to your 4 agreements card, we have Don't Take Anything Personally, and it says Relinquish Self-Importance. All right. It says personal importance or taking things personally is the maximum expression of selfishness because we make the assumption that everything is about me. Interesting message there. That's not typically a Virgo energy that's given off, but maybe at best I could just be saying, like I said, if you feel like you have this big desire for movement, but maybe someone in your environment who you'd like to take the journey with you doesn't seem as open to it, maybe they could just be saying, try not to take that personally there, as far as they might not be rejecting you per se, but just more of that idea in particular might not be as appealing to them as it is to you at this time. Okay, moving on to your Wisdom Oracle card, we have Deep Knowing. There's the artwork, and the number is 43. So interesting message here as far as if you do feel like there's multiple options at play before we even read the messages from the book. It could just be saying that eventually once you settle a little bit, you'll know which pathway to choose. Okay, essential meanings says intuition, listening to the oracle within, empathy, hypersensitivity. The oracle's message: intuition is the faculty that allows you to enter into a dialogue with source, the consciousness that you are a part of but cannot see with the naked eye. It's perplexing that people are taught to ignore this natural capacity to navigate their journeys, to access their inner guidance. Notice you have an ability to read between the lines and find all the truth that was missing when the story was told. This deep knowing allows you to open the door to wisdom far greater than what is available in the limitations of human experience. You're given information that may make no sense whatsoever to the logical mind or five senses, but which is 100% correct and true. The trick is to listen and then to act accordingly. You're now invited into the sacred dialogue of deep knowing, so tune in and trust your vibes. They will be right. Ask, you will receive answers from unusual sources. So definitely an interesting message there too, right? Because let's say if you do feel this really strong pull to go to a certain area, right? Or whatever the case may be, or explore a new culture. Like I said, even if it's not necessarily too far from home for you guys, but if you just feel this really strong pull to a place, it could just be saying, instead of second guessing why does this keep coming up, it could just be saying that maybe you need to trust that there's a reason that insistent thought is coming into your mind. Okay, the relationship message says there are occasions when you just know, deep in your heart and soul, that a person is going to play a meaningful role in your life. Someone crosses your path, and suddenly, out of the blue, you're connected at a level impossible to describe. That feeling marks a moment in time etched indelibly onto your soul. Someone is into your life who will be instrumental to your journey, so pay attention. Two hearts are calling to each other to begin an alchemical process. This is also a sign that your intuition about the person you care about is correct. Trust your heart to lead you now. Magic is about to happen. So, definitely a positive message here as well. I didn't see this as a largely romantic reading, but I will say the part about the intuition with the King of Cups in the environment position, I feel like that's another indicator as well, saying that you could trust your intuition around the situation. All right, and the prosperity message says this is a time when your hunches will pay large dividends if you listen to them, take the risk, and act. Within you there is a oracular consciousness, a higher and deeper knowing that transcends the imaginations of smaller thinking mind. At the deep level of your intuitive senses, you have an access point to the genius of the collective, the energies of all thinkers and creators, all inventors and leaders, and all that you need in order to leap into success are available to tune into. This is an act of listening intently. Past the busy mind, your genius awaits. So that past your busy mind, the genius awaits part makes me think of the Nine of Pentacles energy from a different perspective there, meaning that it could just be saying that if you do feel like you're really having a hard time clearing your mind and making a decision, it could just be saying that with this here, it could just be saying get out in nature, right? So just detach from your electronics and whatever distractions you might have in your day-to-day environment. Get out in nature for a little bit. That'll actually help you arrive at the decision that you're hoping for. All right. And lastly, we have a mudra for you guys. So this is your mudra here. It's the Bhramara mudra, and the keyword for it's harmony. All right. Let's see. There we go. There's the info on it. If you want to pause it, take a screenshot to read what it has to say. But it says improves the health of the lungs and the large intestine, balances the immune system, particularly in cases of immune overreaction, reduces allergic reaction to food and pollen, soothes cough and irritated lungs. So if that sounds like a mudra thing to be beneficial for you guys, I'll put the name in the description video as always. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you guys next month. All right, bye.